of the legal situation to protect our sovereignty, particularly from this really now an invasion. That's why we had Michael Yan in Morocco earlier in the show. Chris, you filed in court on Thursday. You've always been a fighter. You've always been using in the legal system to protect our nation, and particularly protect working class and middle class people from this onslaught of corporate America and the radicals in the Democratic Party that right now we have an invasion. Walk us through specifically what you're doing and what group are you helping?
Yes, Steve, thanks. On Thursday in federal court in Galveston, I represented and we filed lawsuit on behalf of a group of Texas sheriffs and an association of ICE officers. And this is the first time in American history that sheriffs have teamed up with federal law enforcement officers to sue a sitting president and the leadership of the Department of Homeland Security. The extraordinary reason that this extraordinary action is taking place is on February 18th, the Biden administration issued a memorandum that effectively shut down interior enforcement in this country and much of the enforcement at the border. It basically orders ICE officers not to deport people, even though many, if not most of those people they are no longer deporting are required to be deported by federal statute. In other words, there's some statutes Congress passed in the 90s that don't just say, illegal aliens can't come here. They say ICE officers are under an obligation. If they encounter a person in this category, they must detain him immediately and must deport him immediately. The Biden administration is ordering ICE officers to violate that law, and then the sheriffs are being hurt because it is chaos in southern Texas with people coming over the border. Criminal activity has gone through the roof. Sheriffs, their detention beds are full, and what they used to be able to do if they apprehended a gang member who was trying to steal a car, and by the way, car theft is very common along the border. They would, if they didn't have the resources to prosecute them, they'd at least pick up the phone and call ICE, and ICE would immediately deport them. Well, now the Biden administration is letting them run free, and we're in this bizarre situation now where it takes a lawsuit on behalf of law enforcement officers to have permission for them to follow the law. And one more point, Steve. We're not talking about garden variety, law-abiding illegal aliens here to do some lawn work. We are talking the ones that the sheriffs are most worried about, and we have presented this in our legal complaint. We're talking about illegal aliens who have committed serious crimes that the Biden administration is telling them, no, let them go, let them walk free. And let me give you some examples that we mentioned in our legal complaint. The illegal aliens who are now being turned loose because of the Biden policy are those who have committed rape of a child, aggravated assault, sexual assault on a child, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, larceny, burglary, domestic violence, carrying a prohibited weapon, possession of drugs, resisting a law enforcement officer, driving under the influence, and the list goes on and on. So we're talking about a serious law enforcement problem when the Biden administration orders ICE to stand down.
Okay, Chris, you've been doing this since really 2001 when you brought into the, I think as a White House fellow at the time, where you were working for John Ashcroft over in Justice during the first days after 9/11. But you've been, I think, the leading conservative voice and probably intellectually the leading voice in the legal side of this for years. You're a close advisor to President Trump. You helped think through many of the policies that worked. In your professional opinion, have we now gone from emergency to a crisis to now an invasion? Put it in the terms, you've been doing this now for 20 years. How is it today versus other times that you've worked on the southern border crisis?
Well, in previous administrations where there was trouble, and I'm thinking of the Obama administration, the executive branch didn't completely dismantle our enforcement machinery. It didn't completely dismantle what little infrastructure we had on the border. They were at least allowing officers, in most cases, with the exception of DACA aliens, allowing officers to deport people. And so that's why some people on the left got upset that Obama was still deporting people. Well, now they've gone all the way, and I've never seen this before. So let's step back in time 2 years. Remember the protests on the streets, abolish ICE, abolish ICE. And remember the Democrat presidential debates where they were asked, would you favor getting rid of ICE? And they all said, yeah. Well, the administration has achieved that objective by basically forcing officers to be in desks, not allowed to carry